Hi, welcome to Madden Method Basics 101. We've had a few requests lately for a demonstration on main pulling, so I'm going to do that today with Coach. And it's always a discussion about whether you cut a main or pull a main, and I think it really depends on the main. So I would say on the whole, most mains need a little pulling and some cutting. If it was really thin main, I would probably just cut it. So I have Coach here to demonstrate today because he needs a little bit of both. I have with me to do this, I have just a regular comb that we use to comb the mains because I'm going to start with that. I also have a metal comb that I think is better for pulling the main. And I have a little bit short, sharp scissors that I can use to cut the main. So I have Coach here on the cross ties. Now if he were a horse that had never had his mane pulled before, I would start with somebody holding him. But I know that Coach is good about it. So I just have him on the cross ties. Yes, so you can see he has plenty of mane here to work with. And I just want to start by really combing it out because I want to be able to tell how even the mane is as I'm pulling it. And I always comb a little from underneath too because you never know what hairs can be caught in different directions underneath, and that's can be hiding under there. And I usually, when I'm pulling, I start from the bottom. And I always grab a little, you want to grab the underneath hair as much as you can because you don't want a bunch of spots on the top where you've pulled the mane. It's better to have it underneath. It also will lay over better if you pull it from underneath. So I comb the hair back a little, wrap it around the comb, and pull it out. And I grab the longest pieces, hopefully from underneath, and I just go down up his neck. Again, grabbing the longer pieces, trying to kind of scoop my finger from underneath so that I grab the underneath ones. Now some horses, the mane comes out easier than others. Coach's comes out pretty easily. If I had a horse that it was hard to pull the mane out, I would probably do this right after I work them because when they're warm, the mane tends to come out a little easier. Just like if you're trying to shed their coat out and you curry them after you ride them, you're going to get a lot more hair out than you are before you ride them. The Coach is pretty tall, so I'm going to grab a stool. Let's take it back from John here. The other thing is, if you had a horse that's difficult about this, you can get them used to it. Again, I would do it after you ride them because it comes out easier. So probably if they're difficult about it, it might hurt them a little. But if I was grooming them or something, I would just occasionally pluck their mane like this so they get used to it a little bit. Do a little bit at a time and then leave them so they start to know it's not a big deal, and they get used to it. And if it's a little difficult to get out, instead, you want to give it a pretty sharp yank so that hurts them the least. You can see I keep going from underneath, and I'm trying to spot where the mane is a little heavier, which is generally in this middle area. And that's where I'll pull the most from underneath. And the reason I comb it backwards on the comb is so I don't have too big a hunk to pull out at one time. Just test the weight of it. It's still a little thick right in here. I'm not too concerned right now with how even the mane is, because I'm going to finish that off with the scissors in the end. But again, I do try to grab the longest pieces. So I am doing a little shortening as well as thinning right now. Show exactly how I do the pulling part with the comb. So I comb it backwards. Then I leave the comb about midway, halfway up from his crest to the end of the mane. Wrap the mane around once, and then I keep holding the end of the mane with my left hand, and I pull it out with my right hand. And I don't want to do the pulling in too much of a slow motion, because if I do it fast, it doesn't hurt him. So I comb backwards again, one wrap around the comb, hold the end of the mane still, and then pull with my right hand. So now I feel like I've done enough pulling of his mane. I like the thickness all the way up his neck. So now I take the regular mane comb, and again, just comb it out. Make sure I have all the pieces laying down on his neck. And then I take my scissors and I do a little like a hair cutting person. I don't want to cut straight across, because I don't personally like a real straight cut. So I'm going to take his mane and I'm just going to snip off the longest pieces. And this is until I feel like it looks even. You can see there it looks a lot better already. Sometimes I just lay it down on the neck and snip a little. Coach does that often. It doesn't really necessarily mean a lot. And then even without the comb there, just to finish the look, even it out. See, this isn't laying down perfectly, but when I'm doing this, I'm gonna have it lay down a little better and then even it out like that, because after this, my next step would be to braid the mane over a little to train it to lay down, but that would be another session. Tendency is sometimes to cut it too short, so that's why I do a little bit at a time, so I don't want to get to where I have to keep making it shorter and shorter to even it out. You can see up here where I didn't do so much pulling, is where it needs a little more snipping with the scissors. Looks a little messy at first, but then you can just pick away at it. have to have a little patience. It's not a quick way of cutting it, but I like the look better than just chopping right across it. Pretty good from up here, so now I'm going to hop down off the stool and see what it looks like from down below. I think I like maybe a couple spots where I can see underneath better now. Get the long pieces from underneath. And I think that's good. So I like, you know, the mane should be long enough that it can be trained to lay over, but not so long that it is messy looking or getting tangled up in your reins or your martingale. It's a little bit of a personal preference of how long you want it. We come a little bit from the braiding heritage, so we tend to have it about the right length for when it gets braided, and then same with the thickness. So I'm kind of happy with how this turned out. This is really my personal preference of how a mane should look. So again, if I had a horse that was really thin mane, I would probably just do the cutting. Some horses just won't tolerate the pulling, so obviously you can just do a lot of cutting then. Maybe if the horse is tranquilized for some other reason one time, I might pull a little of the mane so doesn't get thicker and thicker as you go. But in general, this is really the way I would do most manes. So that's it for today. If you like what you see and you want to see more, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and tune into our YouTube channel. Thank you.